It's Friday. Partying, partying. Partying, partying. It's Friday.
Hello, boobies.
Welcome to the CommanderSmiths.
We are the CommanderSmiths.
I'm Adam Smith.
And I'm Lowry Smith.
Don't worry.
We're cousins.
And
It's Friday.
wait, I should do the longer one.
It's Friday. Friday.
Except we'll get flagged on that one. All right, we'll stop it there. That's our favorite episode when it's on a Friday. Woo! Oh, and Lowry's drinking tonight. Oh, damn it, Lowry, we're not doing Stump the Smith Savant. So what are we gonna do there?
I guess I'll just have to.
Your brain juice isn't gonna be
do nothing. I guess I'm drinking Puff Tart XL from the Brewing Project. It's very tasty.
Okay, so
I don't know who brought this to.
That would be Russ. Russ brought that.
Russ brought that one.
We're drinking the exact same one. It's sweet. This is the last one of the Russ beers.
Okay, and then I'm guessing I have Chomp Chomp, which is a raspberry.
Oh, I haven't had that one.
Cheesecake. Yeah. Oh, well,
lucky.
I will. And then I also have one from Anderson, which is the New Glarus.
That was my pre-podcast one. So I had that beer, and now I'm on to this one, and then I have my breakfast stout. If we get past that.
Ooh.
So episode 367, it's on a Friday. What are we doing today? It's just basically, it's like old school, how we did cards before. We're just talking about a shit ton of cards, right? Kind of.
Yeah. Look, this was bound to happen, especially when we're running out of material. We're going to talk about our favorite counterspells.
So this is a really short episode. There's not going to be any cards we talk about.
Is that the bit?
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. People on the podcast and be like, why is this only like 5 minutes long? This is the shortest podcast.
So there's a Fave 5 style counterspells, and I'm assuming that we're trying to have. Okay, so Fave 5 generally is ones that we like, but also kind of use a bit. That's how I look at it, at least.
Yep.
I really had to stretch here, honestly.
I think
to get mine.
I think I use one for sure. Like the one is like I always use that one if I'm going to use it. And maybe two others. So yeah, I think I have three that I use. But there's more that I would use. Like the thing that happened is I was thinking like, and not to spoil stuff, I mean, it's our thumbnail, but like Swan Song, like cards like that where it seems like you're using it more for protecting your commander, more of like a protection. Hey, Urza's for life. Thanks, Ted. And I'll give you a Friday for everybody.
It's Friday.
Let me get the...
That's what I'm doing from now on.
Here's ours.
I'm hashtagging middle fingers at Urza's for life. That's what I'm doing.
Out. Get the fuck
go.
out. But what was I saying again? I don't remember. And I remember what I was saying. Like counterspells I would use if they were directed to more so if it was like counter target spell that targets, like there are some that say target you or a creature you control. Those I would use.
Sure.
Like if they did that
Turn
a lot
aside?
more. Right,
Do you have that?
Which one?
Turn Aside. It's from like Scars of Mirrodin.
I didn't put it in
So-
this, but
It's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's a 1 blue instant. But really what you're talking about is red, like swerve effects.
yeah,
of
yeah,
like
yeah, redirecting, yeah,
that's
right. So
and my bit, and we have talked about protection as in those are kind of our counterspells.
yeah, and so, but
And so
it's a problem
that's-
when I get to blue because I have no way of doing that as well. You know, you have constant miss or not constant miss. The miss one, March of the Swirly Miss is kind of my one that protects stuff.
Mhm.
You know, we talked about that in the blue stuff, but there isn't a lot. So if I'm only playing a mono blue, which doesn't happen very often or at all. Oh no, I do have one. I have my Mind Shrieker deck. It's tough, you know, and it's like I don't want to go to the dark side and start fucking countering stuff. So
And I'll admit, I've been using, or at least thinking of using more and more since my Riku deck with the modular,
where
the
you
modal
just
spells,
see
because they're all counter spells, and then they have other abilities to them.
spoiler alert.
So,
Those are a
like-
lot on my list. Just saying. I like the modal spells.
Right. I understand that. I did not put many cards from that deck because I understand that it's like a specific deck. I don't necessarily like it. It's just something that's fitting in with the theme.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of those didn't make it. But yeah, I mean, this episode definitely feels dirty.
Yeah, it does. What are we gonna do next?
I don't like it.
A tutor episode.
Okay, honestly, as our countdown was happening, I wrote down combos and tutors.
Yeah, do we just
Why aren't we
why-
moving in that direction? That's
It's
coming
like,
up.
I'm
folks.
writing it down. Tutors.
Yep.
You're right.
That's-
Combos.
The notes. I made those notes.
Yeah,
right
I
there.
mean, just move to the dark side of everything. Not that
Well, I
do
mean,
as I say, not as I do. Well, or the other way around.
it's about like talking about stuff that we don't normally talk about anyway, so it's fine, and
Yeah.
that's why I didn't make this a joke segment for me,
Mm,
is because we never talk about counterspells. So might as well, when we're doing the chance, do it.
yeah, makes sense.
Do we want to do tags?
Yeah, let's just do tags. This is gonna be a quick one. Really quick. You guys can see. Wait, put the hand. There we go. This stuff right down here. We have that raffle going right now for the Chrome Mox foil Chrome Mox. We have $95 to go. If we hit that tonight, we will take a Malort shot. It is a Friday night. Normally we get a little bit more people on, but that's okay. But if we hit that tonight, we'll do the drawing. We'll take the Malort shot. Once we hit this one, we'll move on to the next one. The next one should be interesting for that as well. So remember, every dollar that you donate is an entry into one of 140 that could be drawn. So the more you enter, the better your chances and all that stuff. So, but to support us, the best way you guys can support us is become a patron. $1 gets you in the Discord. It allows everything that you guys give us, we give right back into the show. Either equipment, either, trying to get, like the proxies and all that stuff. So everything that we get from you guys goes right back into it. And at the same point, you can get proxies from us. So that's kind of a cool thing being a patron. It's not just being a patron and you're in the Discord. That is a cool thing by itself because everybody chats and has conversations. We have like 30 different channels in there. We have like for everything in there.
That's a lot.
Yeah, we made a new one this week.
Well-rounded Discord.
We made a shitty world shit channel because we had people needed to vent but some people don't want to hear it, so it's like let's get this channel so people just move it over there. But not only do you have all the conversations, a lot of different cool people that are on there, but the proxies. You can get proxies each month as you so choose. You can see this little guy right here. That's my son that helped me make this one, an Ink Moth Nexus. That was the prize that off of Lowry getting stumped on Monday. But you can get proxies each month. So we kind of give back a little bit. And also we're going to have that tier system of giving away the play mats as lifetime donations. So that is the best way to support us. The other way is free ways is just jump on YouTube, watch us there, subscribe to our channel there. And the other way you guys can support us is check out our merch, which is on my eBay. And that is linked below. So you can check that out. We got the mugs, and Larry has his red mug. So we have the CommanderSmiths Yetis. These are Yeti mugs, man. These are legit shit. So I freaking love these things. We got metal tokens. We'll be having some more stuff hitting that pretty soon. So those are the ways you guys can support us. If you want to get a hold of us, you can email us at commandersmiths@gmail.com. But the best way to get a hold of us is just get in the Discord. Then you can just message us there and that's better. So there we go. Tags. That's it.
Easier.
All right. Should we get into this? Let's see. Kurt, is there anything else we wanted to talk about beforehand? Probably not. It's a double episode week, so let's get right into it.
Well, I guess the other thing is the next recording that we're going to have is the next Friday.
Yep, so 2 Fridays in a row. It'll be a late
Fridays
one.
in a row.
It will be a late one, just so you guys know. So, yeah, it could be interesting because Laurie will be flying in and then going right to getting the kids down and right into the podcast. Okay, so what do we want to start with? The evil ones? How are we're splitting this into 2 different. We have what we started with the good counterspells, the ones we would actually use, probably the most friendly ones, I guess we would call that. But then we have this evil side, and it's our patrons that are just the evil ones. Just kidding.
Pretty much.
We got a few CDH players that are just like, what about this one and this one? It's like, all right, let's include this. Let's talk about that. So let's get started with the evil ones. Yeah.
Do you want to start it out?
Go ahead. Grab the first one. We know what probably the first one's gonna be.
Is that what you is it the one that you mentioned? Let's just talk. Force of Will.
Yep, Force of Will.
I mean, a lot of these are going to be expensive. This one's old, plenty of reprints, but Force of Will is evil because it's essentially free.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why it's good. But free removal is really good. Free protection is really good, and that's what counterspells are in this regard.
I know people know this one for the most part, but for those listening,
yeah.
You want to read it really quick, or you want me to read it?
Okay, so it's 5 mana instant counter target spell, or alternate cost is you may pay 1 life, exile a blue card from your hand,
and that's
to
it.
Cast the spell.
Yeah, so pretty easy.
Yeah, and all you need is a blue card in your hand. It's very good.
I mean, because
there's reasons why, turn 1 counterspell, somebody's going off on a combo. For us in a slower game, do you think it's good?
For like, if we were to use it,
like, yeah. Maybe that's a little bit of an angle. Like, is losing a card good enough in a slower, grindier game?
I mean, we
Answer's
play,
yes,
but I was gonna say we play against people, Guy, who play this card, and it is brutal. It hurts because it's not used in early game. It's used when it matters most, and it always, when somebody's tapped out and you're looking around the board and you're like, all right, I can play my spell and nothing, I can go and get my combo, or I can go and play this bad boy I've been waiting for, and then this blue fucker just exiles a card and loses 1 life. Like, that's, I mean, to make this one hurt more, lose 5, maybe lose 10, like, make it a little more fair.
This wasn't uncommon when it was first printed. Like, that's insane.
Yeah. Like, talk about reverse power creep, because I was just like, this is ridiculous, like, right when it was printed. But yeah, I mean, it's hurt every single time that this gets played. Like, you just aren't expecting it, and yeah, it's the best counter out there.
Do you consider it the best counterspell?
I mean, we have some that are on the list that are pretty close, but the fact that those will have some handcuffs on, like, what you can counter, and this one just says you counter anything, and I'll tell you, like, going back to our 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago about the core cards for Commander Blue, and I was just mentioning a little bit ago about March of the Swirling Mist. March of the Swirling Mist has a similar thing where, if you have a blue card and you discard it, it reduces the cost by 2. And you don't know how many times I don't play that in just a mono blue deck. That's normally in it's in my will deck. It's in multicolored decks. And I hit that more often than not. I normally am able to throw 1 or 2 cards away, even in a 2 to 3 color deck. So this is easy. This is easy to do that free cost. And yeah, late game, you're saving that. You're purposely holding on to another blue card just so you can spend your mana to cast other things and you just catch them off guard. Because that's the best part. Playing this card is when you're the person playing, you want them to be like, oh, I got this. No one can do anything about it.
That gotcha moment.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, that's the whole point of that
Good.
one. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think this one's the best?
I would probably say that it's the best, just because it does hit everything.
Yeah. And
So
it really doesn't have a
Could
downfall.
I mean, I could be. It does go early game if you need it. Like if you absolutely need it, it goes late game. It's you hold on to it to make sure you don't lose. It's
Yep.
like Angel's Grace type thing, where it's just like I'm not losing right now. Boom.
Yep. Yep.
So
I
what's
don't
yours?
want to jump in. I want to mix it up a little bit. I'm not necessarily saying 1 through whatever, but I want to move one that
Sure.
that is kind of really can enhance your board quite a bit, but it's Mana Drain. Just because it's the tap 2, it's a normal counterspell, like you're not fair. It's just your OG counterspell, counter target spell, so it's anything. But then it gives you at the beginning of your next main phase, add X amount or well, it's X amount. It's equal to mana's or the spell's cost, mana value of colorless mana. So it's just ramp. Like it's just stupid. Like
It's Blue's best ramp card
yeah,
behind Urza or in front. I don't know.
It's just
It's terrible though.
it's-
I hate it.
It's silly. Like it's just like
Yeah.
and we might talk about it, we might not talk about it, but Spell Swindle feels more fair because it's 5 mana, but it does, and you get to keep the treasures, like, but it almost seems like it's on the same line, but it's 5. This is 2. Like you're just
Yeah. There's such a difference between 2 and 5 mana. Like, Mana Drain. I mean, it also has that nostalgia part of just being. It was so good
I
for
want to pull up
so
the old
long,
one.
and
old
yeah, like it's gorgeous.
Oh yeah, there's
It has everything that you want from it.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't put this up with Force of Will, but this is a much better card for us
Right. Yeah.
personally. Like, I'd rather play a Mana Drain over a Force of Will, personally.
Right, for the ramp part and everything.
Is it more of a feel bad though? Like, is this?
Well, I guess, and I've seen only one person really play it, and that's Cole. Of course, Cole. Come on, Cole. I'm just kidding. But for example, I think the time that I saw him play it, he was just countering so that he could get more, like he would ramp up
Get
for his
the
next
mana.
turn. Yeah, he didn't care what the spell was. So
Yeah.
I don't know how often that gets cast where it's like casting to save the game or really stop something, or if you're using it for, well, I'm just doing your spell because
A
I
ramp
want it.
spell.
Yeah, exactly. So
Like, that's ridiculous though, too.
it'd be interesting to hear from people that do play with this card if they use it more often than, like, what scenario happens more often than not.
Mhm.
Is it more to save you or is it more to ramp you? Because I feel
Well,
like if
because,
I
mean,
played it,
it's not a bad play at turn 2 if you're hitting somebody at 3.
yeah,
Then you, on your turn, you go up to 6 mana
6.
for a turn.
yeah.
Like, that's good.
Yeah, so it has a different feel then to me, is that it's not, it's more used as a ramp and just fucking somebody once. You know what I'm saying? It's not
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
a game saver like the other counter spells that we'll talk about can be. So so Mana Drain would be one of them there. So that's our second one. Lowry, what would you pick for the next?
You had mentioned earlier, but Swan Song is probably on the top counterspell list, like
You
the
think
best
it-
that there is.
You think it's for a bad guy? Because
Yeah.
I put it on the good guy on the thumbnail. You want to know
Well.
why? We can have this discussion. That's actually a good.
Right. I mean, okay, so are we? So this is the part like where this is really good, like incredibly good at 1 mana instant.
Right.
And they just get a 2/2, which isn't.
It isn't
nothing.
right. They're getting into 2, but I'm more. The reason why this popped in my head was because of this card. That, like, this idea of doing the segment of it is because I'm like, well, this seems more like protecting your commander ish, because it does have enchantment in there. Protecting your creatures, protecting your stuff. Like if it didn't have the enchantment in there, then it
or
felt,
making sure you don't lose
yeah.
the game. To
But
a-
it doesn't do anything to creatures though if they're all out. But yeah, if they're casting a spell that wins the game, blah 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 blah. So that's why I was like,
so it's bad against like Craterhoof,
Yeah.
Moonshaker, but like otherwise this can save your bacon.
so you think Swan Song and the evil one? So we might get more in here because
I would say this is a top. I mean, I only have like 7 in this top 5
Mhm.
thing, and I would put this up there.
Okay. So the funny thing
But
is
maybe
like,
not on. It's not Force of Will or Mana Drain's level, but I think there's only like 4 that are on that level. If you want
I
to go
think-
on to the next one,
Yeah, I think we're gonna have more than like now that we've kind of opened this up a little bit. So, I'm gonna still stay away from the freeze for a second. So I'm actually gonna do one that's more of an enchantment, that's more of an annoying one, and I'm gonna say counterbalance.
okay. I was.
Or are you keeping that one as a fun one? Is that what you were gonna do? With it?
It's no. But that was on my Fave 5.
Oh,
that
was it? Oh, dang it!
Yeah.
Well, that's because I feel like this one can be so abused.
I'll
Or-
actionate it.
we're taking off of each other's
We're talking
list.
about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Come on.
We're just gonna talk about counterspells at this point.
Counterbalance, and then we'll
Okay.
see. There we go.
I agree. It's completely evil.
Yeah, especially if you're playing with the Sensei's top, like this is just stupid. But so it's 2 blue for an enchantment. Whenever an opponent plays a spell, you may reveal top card of your library. If it's you counter it, if you counter that spell if it has the same converted mana cost as the one revealed. So this one just, I like the red one. The red version of this is so fantastic that I want it in. I haven't put it in. I haven't put it in a deck yet because that one's just a card advantage. That one doesn't have the field beds. This has field beds where you can really, you know, fuck around and lock people down with your Sensei's top. So I haven't seen it played a lot, but when it does get played, it's interesting. And I can see why you would put it in the fun part, because it didn't, when I've seen it played, it wasn't like, oh, I countered that, I countered that, I countered that. But if you have the right cards in there to make it so you can manipulate the top at any point, then this can be abusive. And that's the only time I would think I would play this, you know, unless it fit in a theme, is you'd want to be able to abuse it. You don't want it to just be like, well, I reveal the top card, oh, it's 1, and everybody knows, okay, I just can't cast something that costs 1 that turn. If you're able to move it around.
And that's the fairest way to play it and make it not oppressive, like you're saying. Though the one time I did actually have this in a deck, it was my Takasia Surveil deck. And so I was able to tap creatures, surveil the top. If I didn't like it, I can put it in the graveyard.
What a dick.
And then I could just dig for something that matched.
Yeah.
I wasn't really able to get it. I did it. I think I did it one time before I took apart the deck, because like at the beginning I was like, this is too mean. And then I was like, this deck isn't good enough. Let's make it miserable for everybody. And that's kind of what it felt like it would do. And that's kind of what it feels like this would do. But also, if it fits in the theme of a deck, like you're saying, like if that's what you're doing, I feel like this is the proper card to put in there. And also, like if you put this in like an enchantment deck, I don't think that's terrible either. So like, if you're not manipulating, like you're saying, and you just you try and counterspell, everybody knows that they can't do that CMC. Yeah, you're good to go. Like I think that's
that would be if you're
way to
playing
do
it just that way. Yeah, I agree. That's a little more fair. You might counter one thing, but at least people know, well, or if they don't counter it, you know what's on top, and then you're a freebie for not playing those that turn. Yeah. So, all right, what will be the next one you want to put on here?
Let's go with the freebie of Force of Negation. There's going to be a little bit of a theme, but free spells are really good, especially in the counterspell form. Force of Negation. If it's your turn, you may exile a blue card from your hand rather than pay the spell's mana cost. Counter target non-creature spell. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. So,
I like this one better. I like this one better. Not better. Like I'm like Force Will is better, but I'm saying this one seems more fair than
because
Force.
It's doing non-creature
spell again. Yeah, I like that a little bit better, but it is. Yeah. It feels. And if it's on your turn, you can't really do the freebie part, you know, so it has to be on the other person's turn, which is nice. And that's normally when the removal kind of comes in too. So, but yeah, Force of Negation, it's right up there with Force of Will. Should we just hit up the other freebies? So like Fierce Guardianship, let's hit that one.
Yeah. Fierce Guardianship is at least, that is something that I do consider and end up cutting a lot.
Yeah, so this one is 3, so it's 2 and 1 blue. if you control your commander, then you can play it for free, and then it's counter target non-creature spell. So yeah, I like this one. The stipulation's better because you have to have your commander out. You know, that's kind of nice that it isn't any other thing where it's discarding something from your hand. Like that seems a little easier. If you're in a deck where your commander's getting killed a bunch, and like you just got to get first, your commander has to be out for this to be free. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying, that I can see, like, when I've thought of putting counter spells in, there is, you know, when I did the mono blue, I was like, I need to have some protection. Not Mind Shrieker. It was when I did Bruvac originally. I was like, I need some blue. I need some protection. This was at the top of the list for that. So
right, and then and this feels much more like a protect your commander type card because it's good when your commander's in play.
Right.
And it's something that feels like you want to be kind of like protecting your commander with. Not that is what happens, but it at least has that feel of it. So out of the 3 free ones that we've talked about, I probably like this one the most for us, even though it generally gets cut.
Yep. I think there's 2 more free ones. I don't know. Are we putting both of them on here?
If
do you know what 2?
I was not.
You don't like the?
I'm the next one. Am I? I
yep,
am the next one.
Yep.
I only have 2 more on my lists.
Okay, hit up one of yours.
So if you're talking, I'll talk about Flusterstorm.
Okay. Where did I have Fluster? I had that in the good side.
You did? We don't have to talk about it.
No.
Is that your fave 5?
No. It isn't one that I picked. I just had it as an option up there. You know.
Okay.
Because if we have, see, in this one, because it's 1 in the counter instant or sorcery, I feel like that's even more so protecting your commander because it's not hitting the artifacts, it's not hitting the enchantments. Spell
getting rid of wraths, spot removal.
Yeah. So
maybe some ramp.
Yeah. So I thought this one felt a little bit more fair-ish, you know, and because they can still, it's not counter it, they got to pay 1, so at the very least they're having to pay 2 because they cast their spell, you're casting this, so there's 2 spells right there. So yeah, I like it. I don't have it in the deck, obviously.
Do you feel like this is fair though? Like I in my mind, it's not on the Force of Will, Force of Negation, Fierce Guardianship, or Mana Drain. Like those are my top 4.
Yeah.
And then everything else is a drop off, like Swan Song, Flusterstorm.
Yep, I agree.
Counterbalance.
Well, because like I said, I thought this one fit in my. If you choose part of mine in the next part of this one might have been in there just for the reason that I said. You know, I don't think this one doesn't feel as bad because there is still like you can pay for this. That doesn't necessarily mean it's countered. You know, they can pay 1, 2.
Yeah. Okay.
It depends on how many spells are cast that turn too. You know, I mean, but it is.
And one of the things that I think I used this during one of the first Calamax decks that I built. Because Storm is a copy, so it puts a bunch of counters on Calamax.
Bring up that Calamax has been made again?
Yeah, I made another Calamax deck. Probably the 5th one. Different one. This one's poison.
And it's not only that, like it's Calamax, which is your favorite, but then you do your thing you hate the most is poison. And how many counter spells did you put in this? You might as well have tutors and counter spells in it.
There's 0 counter spells. Because there are 3 that could have fit in, but copying counterspells doesn't get you the effect unless they're actually counterspelling stuff. So it's like, I don't like that.
It's just playing all the worst things. I can't believe you're playing poison. It's crazy. When are we going to see that deck? I want to see that when you're going out of town. So I'll
probably do
when I'm out of town.
When you're after next Friday, then I'll do a couple of
some deck techs.
A couple more deck techs. I did Kadena Morph.
Yeah, dude, that's getting some views. That's actually people are liking that. We did it before I even changed anything with that. So yeah,
I don't even like that deck.
But yeah, okay. So Flusterstorm. Do we want to?
You would put this in an acceptable counterspell range
for me, but that's just there's a lot. There's options.
There's options.
So. There's 2 I think still fit in this list, and then if you don't have any more besides, you said you had 1 more.
I have a feeling you'll say one of them.
Okay, so I'm gonna go. Well, if you probably have the other one, so I'll do the newer one. What do you think about Flare of Denial?
So this is the one that I probably least like.
So there is no stipulations on what you counter. So it's counter target
Yeah.
spell. It's 3, so it's actually not that bad for casting by itself. In general.
It's just a cancel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it sacrifice a non-token blue creature, and then you can play it for free. So
Right.
that part, I'll tell you. The white one, Flare of Fortitude. That one's nice, but the sacrificing, even in my Heir Apparent deck, I had to sacrifice one of my Heir Apparents. You can't sacrifice the token, so that does
Right.
play a factor in it. Like the non-token part. If it said sacrifice a blue creature, it'd be a lot easier. But the
Different story,
non-token part
sure.
really does add a little stipulation to it. I still think this is in the mean ones and not the fair ones, because
Okay.
it is 3. Like to be honest with you, I have Counterspell as a mean one because it's 2. Like it's a Counterspell. Like that's the point of what we talk about. Like it's not a fun one. Like if you just get straight up countered, it sucks. This is 3 and could be free. If you sacrifice a creature. So I don't know. I thought this one fit in there. Do you want to say the last one? I'm guessing.
The last one's gonna be Pact of Negation,
Yeah,
right?
so I wanted to leave that for you because I knew.
And this is definitely like, I'm okay saying like Flare of Denial and Pact of Negation are like middle, like paying 5 or losing the game. This feels like the best way to say that I concede.
Yeah.
That's how I would look at it.
Yeah.
Cast the spell before end of turn, or like
Yeah.
the last one, counter their shit, and then be like, peace, I'm out.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Mm.
But like, it's a good counterspell. Like it's a free counterspell, but paying that 5 can be brutal.
Yeah. You
So
using
for
this
me,
to save the
personally, I
game.
don't like this one.
Yeah.
Almost in any situation.
Yeah. I've not played this or even thought of playing this one. I mean, 1, because it's a counter, but 2, it's like it's not a good one. You have a lot better options out there.
Yeah, and I think this is a big CEDH one,
Yeah, probably.
but it just ain't for me.
Okay, so I think that's our list for. Well, how many we got? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can't think of 2 more. I do have more on here because we're not going to talk about this. Can I just mention? Let's get us to 10, just to get us there. What about?
Don't steal mine.
Well, this can't be on there. But what do you think about Power Sync?
No. What? Why is that a bad one?
Because it makes them tap all their mana if you counter it. So I was like, oh, that could be a bad one. And then I Counterspell. We could just have Counterspell in there. Okay. How about this? What about Forbid?
You want to talk about foil or thwart?
What about Forbid? Forbid, you get the buyback. You can bring back the Counterspell by discarding 2 cards.
I like that one. I made my buddy Heinzman pretty upset with that one back at the beginning of Counterspell days or at Commander days.
Commander. All right. Yeah, I don't. We don't have to add those. I was just trying to get a couple more.
I like Forbid as a discard outlet. Like if you were trying to discard cards, I think that's a decent one to do.
Yeah.
Probably could go in a lot of those new
I think I had it at,
Hashmata decks or whatever it's called.
I think I had it in my Rashmi deck just because it had the buyback part and being able to do stuff on other people's turns and then brought it back and all that. So
yeah.
All right.
Terrible.
Let's get into the actual good counterspells. The counterspells you guys should be playing because these are like just they're good. Like they're not gonna piss people off as much and they're fair. They're not the devil. Bobby Boucher. I should have done that whole you're the devil for the other ones. All right. I guess do you want me to start this one or you start this one?
I'll go first.
Okay. I know which
and this is the pitch.
Can I guess?
This is the counterspell to counterspells. This is
this is gonna be the top one, isn't it? This is the one that you're gonna pick.
This is my number one.
Yeah.
I play it
Can
in a lot of decks.
Can I guess?
Sure, go ahead. I doubt you're gonna do it.
Is it Arcane?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Nope. I don't know. All right. What is it?
Lear, Disciple of Drowned.
What?
L-I-E-R,
This is not L-I-E-R.
comma. And then you could probably it'll pop up.
What? Where is it in that?
Spells can't be countered.
Oh, I get your bit.
Yeah. So you're countering the counterspells. You can do flash cards. It's stopping the counterspells, and that is my favorite kind of counterspell.
Good. Touche.
that
I see what you did. You know, I will say this. I have on my list to piggyback on what you're doing there. I did Kira Great Glass Spinner as well. Like,
Is that on your list?
it was not on like what I was gonna actually choose, but since you did that, I'm gonna
But
do
it's
it
there.
as well. Because creatures you
Agreed.
control
I
have
looked at that
whenever
one.
this spell becomes a target, it gets countered by the first spell. So all right, we're both had a
Protection.
goofy one. All right, Larry, give me one of your real ones now.
Oh, that is my real one. That is a legitimate. I
Yeah.
only have 5,
I-
so that has to work now. You took my
Oh.
counterbalance.
Oh, sorry.
All right, you got next.
No. Go ahead. Oh, you want
No,
me? Oh,
that's
okay.
my real
your
one.
real
That
one.
is
Okay. Well, then I'm gonna steal more of yours because I think the one that we've talked about before that I don't mind when this one hits me is Arcane Denial. When somebody when I say somebody, it's more often than not. I've only seen this get hit by Lowry doing this to my face, but Arcane Denial with 1 colorless, 1 blue, counter target spell. Its controller may draw up to 2 cards at the beginning of next upkeep, and you draw a card at the beginning of next upkeep. So the person casting it's replacing the card. That doesn't seem fair, but the person that's losing, you know, when Lowry, you've done this to me before, I don't feel bitterness. I'm like, it sucks because I really like this card, but I get 2 cards. Like, that's awesome. And you're getting a card, you're happy. All around, this is just kind of a happy card, you know, like besides, you know, foiling somebody's plan, drawing 2 cards is always nice, especially for you not having to cast any mana for it. You know, if I'm the player, I cast the mana to cast the spell, obviously, but I like Arcane Denial. Like, I think this is, if we're being honest, I feel like this is the best counter spell, the fairest one of them all. Like the mirror, you know, and
I got it. I got it.
I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but I mean, you have played this one way more than I have, and
But it's been a really long time since I really played it, and it wasn't on my list at this point, but I do appreciate you saying it because, again, it's one of those that like hands it off. That's why you like Swan Song, and I think it's a fine counterspell. So I get it. I think it's a good one. I don't feel bad playing it. Just generally, it's not themed enough unless I'm
see what you're
having
saying.
other people draw cards,
yeah.
and so.
we really have in our older years have really gone into the themes instead of like just being like good cards, shove it in the deck. It's like, well, does that actually fit in the theme of what we're doing here? So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right, well then, what would be your second card?
My second card is probably legitly the one that I've been probably running the most after Lear. Lear does make it into a lot of my spell slinger decks at this point, but Hullbreaker Horror.
Wow, you're going with creature stuff. All right.
Well, I'm a permanent base player at this point, but it's a 7/8 flash spell. This spell can't be countered, and then whenever you cast a spell, choose up to 1, return target spell you don't control to its owner's hand, and that's the counterspell part.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I got it's a 7 drop.
You see what I'm saying, though?
I got you.
And then it also bounces if you so choose. So, but basically, what it can really do is, it's a great like game ender control type card. It comes down. It's a huge beater at 7/8. It can bounce anything that can beat it in combat, and then any type of removal you should be able to deal with as well. The card is great. And the times that I've had it come down, it
have you countered a spell?
have I? Well, when it comes to returning the spell to the hand, yeah. Yes, I have. I have this in Mr. Foxglove right now, and then it was in my Umbrous Horror deck for a bit, and I want to say it gets considered in a lot of decks at this point, but then you gotta figure it out. But
yeah, I have
it's a good card.
I have put it in a deck, and then it did get cut in the last year or whatever. I don't remember which deck I had it, but it was for the protection spot, like what you're saying there. So 7's a lot, but yes, I think you're right. If you're able to, get this out, and this spell can't be counted. Yeah. So yeah, I'm trying to remember which deck I had it in. Why? It makes sense that it's in your horror deck. Is Mr. Foxglove the mode one? Is that what that one is? Or what's
No,
Mr.?
that one that's Riku. So this one is the Mr. Foxglove cheats in big creatures essentially.
Okay. That's what I was like, how are you
So-
getting this in?
But also like it works in that deck because it's returning stuff to their hand, so there's more stuff in their hand, so that when you attack, you can either draw or put something into play.
Gotcha.
So
Yep, I like it. All right. So far, you're not hitting any of mine on my list.
I think there's only one crossover, and I'm gonna hit it next.
Okay.
So if you don't take it,
Okay. So the next one, this is Cole has cast this again. Why is Cole always the one that's casting against?
well, he's kind of a dickhead.
But it's an offer you can't refuse. Cole did this one against me, but it's 1 drop for a counter target non-creature spell. Its controller creates 2 treasures. So when it did get cast, I'm a little more bitter. I would have liked to draw 2 cards, but getting the 2 treasures wasn't terrible. Like, I remember I was able to use that to do other things on other turns and all that. So it sucks, but it's not terrible. You're giving them something.
Right.
It's not just a you benefit. Giving the player that lost something in return, it makes the feel bads go down. And so even though this is a 1-drop counter spell, it is a non-creature spell, so it kind of feels more like protection, so you're not hitting those creatures a little bit. And then giving the 2 treasures, just bonus right there. So
So you when you counter a spell, you feel real bad and want to give them stuff.
right.
That's how you look at it.
Right,
It seems like
exactly.
At this point.
Well,
Okay.
at least for my first 2, because after that, now everything's out the window. Because
Swan Song would have been there.
yes, but it wouldn't have been picked because I did not have that one starred. Even though I had it on the thumbnail, I need to take. So people that are seeing the thumbnail right now, or in the next probably hour or so, you're going to see a very different thumbnail because it won't make sense because I had it. The Swan
It's
Song
fine.
being a
Thumbnails
good guy.
don't make sense anyway. They're
All right,
fine. Not just yours.
What is your third overall pick for this?
I'm gonna go with Mystic Confluence.
Okay, that is the one.
Right.
Oh no, that is not. That is one. That is the second one. The one that I said.
You went with the 6 mana one, I'm sure. You like that one more.
I do
But
like that
Mystic
one.
Confluence, I have been in love with this card since it was printed. It's 5 mana instant. Choose one. You may choose the same mode more than once. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 3. Return target creature to owner's hand or draw a card. And so you can either draw 3 cards, bounce 3 creatures, or have them pay 9.
Right.
And any other version, combination of them possible. I love this card just because it doesn't have to be a counter spell.
Right. Here comes the theme.
But
of-
it basically how I see it, what I would do is counter target spell, draw, or
Yeah.
counter target spell, bounce, draw.
draw. Yep. Exactly.
That feels like generally what I do. It's amazing in Calmax. It's great in Riku. It's great in Hinata. It is something that I have played a bunch of, and I
Yep.
straight up love this card.
I love this because the fact is, and we'll get to the next card, which is going to be a similar but different. The fact that you can choose the same mode more than once. I love that part so much because you can, like you said, late game, you're not even trying to counter something. You're more, God, I need to draw. Let's just draw the 3 cards. Or maybe you're just like, I'm going to counter this spell and draw the 2 cards, or bounce the biggest threat that's coming at you, draw the 2 cards, so there's so many
if
options
somebody
with
all out
this.
attacks you and you're just like bounce, that's a win to me.
Right. Yeah.
Like with how many options that there are.
So this is-
it's a fantastic.
Out of the list, everything that we've been talking about so far, this is one of 2, and the other one I'm going to talk about here in a second are the ones that I actually use, like that will be in decks.
Yep.
So
Yep.
might as well jump onto that. But it is Sublime Epiphany. Make sure I spell it right. Epiphany. All right. So like Lau mentioned before, this is 6, so it's 4 and 2 blue. Instant. Choose one or more. So you can't choose this more than once, but you have a lot of modes on this one. So it's counter target spell, counter target activated or triggered ability, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, and target player draws a card. So the reason why this makes it in a lot of decks is because the copy and the token part is really what the trigger is for this one for me. Anytime that I'm wanting to make multiple copies of not just my commander, of other things, maybe it's a tribal deck or there other cards in the deck that I really would like having multiple copies of it, this card will pop in there because I get that. It also has the protection built in on it. And then, it's fun to just be like, all right, let's just pop that permanent to your hand and I'll draw a card off of it because you can choose all the modes that you want. Really, you're not going to be able to, I think you're not going to be able to counter a spell and an activated ability. It's going to be one or the other.
Well, I mean, if somebody's casting a spell and then there is a trigger off of that spell,
I guess
then you get to do it.
That's a good point.
So like they cast a spell and create a creature token, you can counter both of those.
I'll say that every time I've cast this, I've hit pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the 5.
Yep.
Or wait, 1, 2.
Because you hold on to countering target spell or the or ability,
right? Yeah.
And then you just hit everything else. Bounce, copy, draw. Like that's easy.
Yep. So but I've used this not for just countering, like it's bouncing,
Right.
like we talked about the other one, bouncing a creature token, get it a token, blah 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 blah. So I like this one a lot. It's 6, so it really doesn't feel bad either if you're countering a spell at that much. But it's
Are you
more
gonna
so.
talk about the 4-mana version?
Yeah, I have it on my list and starred.
Okay.
Are you going to talk about it?
No, I don't have it on my list.
Okay.
But
So that is what is it?
there's something in there.
This is your 4th overall pick, so we got 2 more picks each.
Yes.
Okay, so
Right.
I can
should
hit my
probably-
stuff. There is actually
You can,
there
we
is
won't
actually-
have any.
There's 3 mode counterspells left.
Yeah. So my next one's gonna be a creature.
These are all creatures.
Yeah. Well, you want to give something for the surprise. I
like
want them to know that it's coming.
it. There you go.
It's all over the place, but it's there.
Oh.
It's for them.
It's
to see.
Friday. It's
And
Friday.
if they-
Wait, I gotta get the partying. Just all over the place. All right, so
But I want them to know that it's there, and if they want to do something about it, then they can. But I'm gonna go Mausoleum Wanderer.
how do you spell it?
Mausol.
I should get it.
Yeah, that bad boy. 1 blue, 1/1 flying spirit. Whenever another spirit comes into play, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn, and then you can sacrifice this creature, counter target instant or sorcery spell unless the controller pays X, where X is the creature's power. So, number 1, great in the spirit deck. I had this in my Hilda spirit deck because 1/1 counters on it make it more effective. I have this in Rafine right now because you can put 1/1 counters on it and sacrifice it, and they can't, essentially pay what they need to. If you have an equipment deck, the evasion is really good, and people just forget that you can do it. You know what I mean? If you're just trying to be aggressive and you're gonna get in your dink and dunk damage, and then they're like, well, let's go and kill your commander, you just sacrifice it, and they just forget that you can do that. So, and there's a handful of cards that fit into this category, like Siren Storm
I was gonna
Tamer.
ask you, do you? That one's on my list, the Storm Tamer.
Okay.
Not like I wasn't gonna. That's not one of mine that I starred, but it was on my list of stuff. What do you think about that one? Because that one I like because it's saying specifically things that target you or your creature.
Sure, and it does straight up counter that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's nice too. But the thing is Mausoleum Wanderer can stop a ramp spell if you're just trying to slow your opponents down. So
But that's not
like,
the point of why we do the counters. Remember, the counters is like protecting our stuff.
calm down. Calm down. No, like this. Me personally, I would much rather just apply pressure on the board and not even have to sacrifice it.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. Like
Them knowing that it's there, you're trying to maneuver
Right.
and do things differently. Yeah.
So it's on the board. People know that it is there, and that's kind of what it is for just slowing the game down and trying to get a little bit ahead. It's super cheap. It's recurable. Like Spirit is a very, it's a functioning creature type. So I think there's a lot there that I like about it. And so I just,
I like it. Your counter spells, you're able to use them as creatures too. Like they're not just countering, but you can actually do damage with them. They're out there. And
right.
I like the angle you got there. Okay. Well, you're leaving all those other ones. I'm gonna hit one of the new ones.
You can say whatever you want. You are not picking my fifth one.
Well,
I know you're not.
You haven't hit any of the ones that I have, but this one I have been thinking about using. Again, it's following the same thing that I just did with Sublime Epiphany, but it's 3 steps ahead. So it's 1 blue, and then it has spree. So you can choose 1 or more additional costs. So you can do an additional 2, 1 colorless, 1 blue. So your total will be 3 to counter target spell.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can do an additional 3, create a token that's a token of target artifact or creature you control. Or another additional 2 to draw 2 cards and then discard a card. So I like this, again, because Sublime Epiphany, you have to pay 6 and you get to choose them all. That's fun. It's cool. This in a pinch, it's like, well, really? I just want to draw cards here. And so I'll just pay the 3. I'll draw 2 cards, discard a card. Or maybe I want to draw 2 cards and I have enough mana to do a copy of my creature. Or maybe I want to counter a spell and draw a card. The options can be shifted depending on what your situation is. And I don't know if... I think I like this better than having the big cost and then you get all of them. I like this because it's like, what situation am I... what am I dealing with right now? And how do I need to handle this? And so I think I want to see more spree cards like that. Because technically, you can just pay the 1. If you're just wanting a trigger of a spell, like if a storm count or whatever, you can just pay the 1 and nothing happens. You're not doing anything else where you're getting your storm count up. So that's also an option. So I like this one.
Desperate option.
Right.
But...
I've thought about it. Storm might want it a little bit. I actually don't know if I have this in Storm. I don't think I think it was in the thought, but I don't think I kept it in there.
Here's the thing is like eye test, like when I look at this, I hate it. I'm like, I don't like any of this. But Zero Cool played this. It was really good. It was really good. So I just yeah.
It's an $8. It's an $8 counterspell at its very cheapest version of this.
I think it goes down after standard. But
it's so good. It's amazing. All right, Larry. What is your last one?
My last one is an asshole card that I feel like is if I just start hating something that somebody's doing, I'm going to start putting in. It's a threat. And it's a threat to everybody that's listening. If you want to be a dickhead, I will start playing this. Declaration of Not.
What?
Blue enchantment. When it comes into play,
I didn't spell
it
declaration.
Doesn't even exist.
I didn't even spell declaration right. DEC? How do you spell it? Help me.
Oh Jesus. Where do I put it? DEC.
Yep.
LAR.
Oh, that's right.
ATION. Hope that's right because I didn't spell it right on
my
paper.
Deck. Wait, shit. What is the other? What's the last?
Just put in not. NAUGHT.
NAUGHT. There we go. DEC. Deck. No, I did that right. I did it wrong. Okay.
No.
All right.
Declaration or not. Blue enchantment. When it comes into play, name.
I
a
saw
card.
this. I actually, when I was going through my list of counterspell stuff, I was like, man, this is such a dick card for just like one.
Yeah.
Okay, you say what the whole thing is.
All right. So when the enchantment comes into play, name a card, pay a blue, counter target spell with that name.
That's so.
And so, like, essentially, I've always looked at it and I went, God, if everybody's just playing dickhead commanders, I'll just start packing this into my blue decks and just start naming their commanders.
Oh, that is a dickhead move.
Right. That's what you do. When you just start getting pissed at Atraxa decks, like everybody's running Atraxa, you're like, fuck this shit. Doom.
Well,
I'm done.
When we did the in real life games and everybody did the which one did they all play? Was it Gisela? They all did Gisela decks. That'd have been funny for you to sneak into that game and hopefully get this card and be like, counter your Gisela, just get everybody. That's what you should do is if you ever hear a group doing like I want you to make this in a deck and then just try to sneak in there and be like,
5-color slivers.
Oh, I'll be in that deck with you guys or in that game with you guys.
So this is that dickhead one where like you just hate that one person at the LGS that's always playing that one deck and you're like, I'll just start running Declaration or Not and making sure that they are super pissed. Like sometimes you just gotta, it's one of those statement cards in my opinion. So like, and I did that years ago where I hated Infect. And so I made an Infect deck.
Oh, just like you're doing now?
Yeah, well, this one's not out of spite. That one was out of spite. So I did like Defense of the Heart into Blightsteel Colossus and Kiki Jiki, and go and get those two, and then copy the Blightsteel Boots or Greaves onto the Blightsteel, kill both you and Trombley, and you guys were like, "Oh, cool, all right."
Yeah,
I was like, "Stop playing fucking poison."
You were hoping that we would get so mad about it, and we were just like, "All right, we died from poison."
Yeah, bitter. I was real bitter at that. I was young and dumb.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Funny. I like it.
So
I like
this is one of those bitter cards. Like it's just a bullet for whoever you hate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I know I've seen the card, but it hasn't stayed in my memory bank because it's like this isn't a very good commander card, like because you're naming one card, but it is potentially like you're saying you can basically neuter one person. But I came across it when we were doing this counter thing. I was going through all the counters, I scryfalled it. I'm like, okay, counterspells or counter and the card, and just started going through and I was like, whoa, that's a dick card. If you can find something that you're just going after. But I mean, if everybody's playing not only just commanders, like what if everybody's playing Smothering Tides or whatever, or
Cyclonic Rift.
Right. That's a good way to protect your stuff. Like, you can pop this out as kind of like a little protection from if your whole group is always playing Cyclonics. This would be a good way to stop that. So I dig it. I like that as your picks. Yours are off the board. I like that a lot. So I have trouble because there's two modes.
What's your fifth one?
Well, I'll just do the old school one, which will kind of be in the similar realm that this one is in age wise, actually. But it's cryptic command. And so Lorwyn. The other one, yours was Morning Tide. So I have played this in decks, and actually I have it in my Eureka deck for the sole purpose of one of the modes, and it isn't countering, but it's 3 blue and 1 colorless instant. You get to choose 2: counter target spell, return target permanent to owner's hand, tap all creatures your opponents control, and draw a card. The tapping all creatures and opponents control is normally what I'm going for. Most of the time when I'm playing this card, and then it's a bonus for the other stuff. So the triple blue makes it feel more fair, unless you're playing just a solo or mono blue deck, but most of the time I'm not, so it's a little harder to get that. The other one I do want to mention was the Archmage's Charm, because that's also triple blue, and
hate that card.
hate that card.
It's not very good.
But
I don't like it.
That's why it's on the last part of my list of it. It's not very, different than all this stuff. But I'd rather Cryptic Command, tapping down everybody's creatures. And it's all your opponents, and it's not just one opponent, which is really nice. So it can stop you from getting killed. Like if somebody's about to go alpha and kill everybody, tap down their stuff. Or if you're trying to get the win, that's normally what I'm trying to do with this. tap everybody's creatures.
You've definitely killed me by tapping down my board and just
Eureka
Get me.
in with ninjas and stuff. So
Yeah.
I think this one's a good one. I can see this borderline being a dick one at the same point, but I think it's more fair than our dick ones, our evil ones, I should say. That's what we should have done. We should have done dick counters and limp counters. I don't know.
I'm glad we didn't do that.
Erect counters, not so erect.
Why'd you make a fist?
It's erect.
Oh boy. All right.
Is there any honorable mentions that you wanted to talk about at all? Okay.
Nope. Because it was, we talked about everything,
I did have like,
and I just kind of,
like there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of ones that aren't so bad. Like I had memory lapse as one that just puts it on the top of the library.
I did think about that one. Here's one that I don't think a lot of people know about, and this is something that I was like, I had on my list, and I was like, no, this isn't something that I want to talk about, but now I do. Unified Will.
Which one is that? Well, I'm pulling it up.
Pull it up. Chomp chomp.
I spelled it right.
So, 1 in a blue, instant, counter target spell if you control more creatures than that spell's control.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Right. That's a cool counterspell. I wish that they had more stuff like that. There are a couple that I really like, but don't play, where like there's the one that return creature to your hand, counter target spell, or return a land counterspell, and that was all made around kind of this time. Lorwyn for that one. But Unified Will is really cool, especially when you are
Creature heavy.
more of an aggro deck, having a lot of creatures or token decks or stuff like that. And it's a tough, it's not always going to work, and that seems more interesting.
Right. Yep. I can dig that. Yeah, I think that's about it. I had Muddle the Mixture on here too, but that's instant sorcery stuff, so it's more so like Counterspell.
Yeah, and a tutor. Is that going to be on your favorite tutor list as well? For the transmute?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Oh, and
That's one I've never played.
Spell Swindle, but I already talked about that one. I felt like that one felt in the evil one, because if you can get it, you get a lot of treasures, but yeah.
Oh, do you know what? I forgot to say with your Epiphany one. 6 mana is a lot to hold open.
It is.
That's been my problem. I generally cut it. I do like it, but I generally cut it.
I would say if you're playing it, you're purposely doing it to make a copy of a token that you have, because your token's not gonna, it has summoning sickness, so you're purposely going, I'm holding 6 open and saying go, and you let it go around, and if it comes back, and I've had this happen before, I'm planning on making a copy of one of my creatures. So I wait, and
Anyway.
and it'll come around, and no one casts something that I really wanted to counter, and then I'll just be like, well, I'm gonna cast this, get the draw, get the bounce, get this and that. But more often than not, I'll hit something that disrupts it all. You know, like counter that. Now I'm making a copy, doing all this stuff. But so yes, if you're purposely just leaving it open to protect, that is a lot. I agree. But normally the reason why that's in my deck is because I want to make copies of something. That's the only reason. Again, it's our theme stuff.
Yeah.
And it has to fit in the theme, and that's why I would make it in a deck. So for those of you watching this, listening, whatever, we want to hear what your dick counters or evil counters are.
Right. Well, I mean, it could just be
else.
like, talk about the counter spells that you like.
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
And then
There's a
maybe-
lot out there. There's
There
a
is
lot of options.
Yeah. Especially for the interesting, fun ones, I guess. But I felt like we hit a good list. I mean, you got some ones that were off my board, so I would be curious what other people thought on counterspells and stuff too. So we're over an hour. Do you just want to cut here? Or do you want to hit up the little thingy? Silence. I'll hit the Friday button while you're thinking.
How about?
It's
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's try it out.
All right, what are we doing here, Larry?
This is a different version of the dirty magic card name game.
Okay.
And essentially, what is the game for Adam? What you have to do is say which card you think is dirtier and why.
Okay.
You ready?
I dig it.
All right. Do you think that blasting station is a dirty name? Let that marinate a little bit.
Yeah, like you just let me think about it. Yeah.
Or do you think Stroke of Midnight would be a dirtier name?
uh, talking from personal experience, it normally is a little going to bedtime kind of thing. So, it's the nature's Ambien, stroke at midnight helps me, and that's when I go to bed. So,
So that's what we're going with. Stroke of Midnight is the dirtier magic card name.
If it's me,
It's official.
That could be my nickname, Adam Stroke at Midnight.
A little CBD, a little Stroke at Midnight. Good to go.
Yeah, that's how I go to bed. The best part is Cindy and the kids are in the next room, so I was like, how loud do I say this? It's a good one.
All right, there we go.
All right. Is that we're just doing the one, or you got?
That's it. That's
okay,
it.
okay.
Because I had 3 to start, and then I changed it last
like
second. That's why I'm like, I don't know.
I like
So,
it. I like it. Stroke.
That's where we're at.
All right, that's good. All right, gang. This is we're off until next Friday. So again, we'll be live on Friday next week. I might try to get some proxy videos in next week. I'm behind on that, just editing and all that stuff. So I'm going to try to work on some stuff while Lowry's gone. Lowry, you have a good vacation, spring break, and I'll see you a week from today. And then I'll be on spring break, and then we'll be back on schedule, I think, on the next Monday. I think. Yep, Monday we should be good. So, all right, gang, that should do it. We will catch you guys a week from today.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.
Bye.
Suck up.
I love boobs, I'm talking tatas. I love boobs, I'm bonkers for honkers. I love boobs, thanks for the memories. I love boobs.
Hey gang, the best way to support the CommanderSmiths is make sure you slap that like button. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel. Also, check out our online store, CommanderSmiths.com, where we have metal tokens, mugs, t-shirts, playmats, and more.